So, okay. Councilwoman Peeler has been moved to a panelist. Can you continue with to attendee? Can you continue with the roll?
Ramsky, Taylor Burks,
Oh, Jesus.
she's Waterman,
Patrice Waterman. Patrice Waterman, City of Pontiac, Oakland County.
I'm sorry, Taylor Burks,
Doris Taylor Burks, Pontiac, Oakland County.
Williams,
Present, attending remotely from the greatest city in the world, Pontiac, Michigan.
I'm here attending remotely. This is Shramsky from
Thank
Pontiac,
you.
Michigan. He accidentally disappeared me when he muted Mary.
Okay.
Well,
thank
he's
you.
gonna mute me all night because she still doesn't know where I'm at.
Go ahead,
Oh.
Councilwoman Peterla. Where are you? Oh, Council President, you do have a quorum.
I'm here as well. Councilwoman Miller, City of Pontiac, I'm here as well.
Thank you, Councilwoman Miller.
Okay,
You're
we're gonna start this budget session. I don't see the mayor here.
Council President, is Pro
yes.
Tem here? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't see Pro Tem Carter. So we need a motion to excuse Pro Tem Carter for the meeting.
Who?
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Any city council discussion?
Ooh, excuse me. No discussion. Miller,
Yes.
Peterla, where's
Call the roll again.
Pro Tem Carter? I got Miller. Peterla,
Yes, I'm unmuted now. Thank you.
Shramsky,
Yes.
Taylor Burks, Councilwoman Taylor Burks,
Yes.
Waterman,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Council Pro Tem Carter excused for personal reasons.
All right. I do not see the mayor here, but I do see Mr. Smith from Wade Trim. So I'm going to give him the floor.
Good afternoon, Council. I hope you all had a good holiday weekend. It's nice to be talking to you all again. It'll be even nicer to talk to you all in person again soon, I hope. As you've seen before you, you've got the budget that has been submitted to you by the mayor that shows both the mayor's recommended budget as well as the departmental requests. Happy to answer any questions you have about that. You know, one thing I would like to start out, which is a little bit of a highlight, is right now over the last 5 months or so, we have taken in and this is just the large construction projects that are valued at over $1 million. We have 14 of those that are in different phases of construction or pre-construction planning right now, totaling over about $90 million in value. That does include some of the Amazon finishing value, but the takeaway from this is that redevelopment in the city of Pontiac has not slowed down during this pandemic. People continue to want to be here, continue to want to build and want to build right. And we are happy and prepared to continue making sure that buildings are safe and things are done to city and state code. So with that, I would open the floor to questions, Mr. Council President.
Okay, Councilwoman Waterman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm glad you started off with that, Mr. Smith. What are the 14 developments that you're talking about? Because I see in the budget, council members on page 49 of 67, account number 249-000-477-003. It says building inspections, building permits, and it's gone down maybe $100,000. So is that a part of this 14 developments that you're talking about?
So that's a great question, council member. The 14 developments that I'm talking about and were taken in, and that revenue is being recognized in the current fiscal year. It is for the redevelopment of the remodeling of the Carriage Place apartments. We've got Winston Commons on there, United Shores continued expansion, and then a couple of projects over as Bloomfield Park continues to build out, as well as a major project finishing the last phase of the Amazon construction. And I can distribute this spreadsheet, or have Mike Wilson distribute the spreadsheet to you all and your staff so you can see what's going on right now. I can tell you that our inspectors have been fully scheduled all winter long and continue to be out in the field working on these projects. And you know, I think that is a really positive thing for the city, moving these projects forward.
Okay, good. I would appreciate you sending that to all council colleagues so we can see what's going on. Next question that I have is as it relates to, I see you have on page 50 of 67, 249-371-731-003. Computer equipment, and we're going from 3,000 to 10,000, and that is?
So that difference is for an electronic plan review table to allow us to make some efficiency improvements in plan review. Is one of the things that has been a constant challenge throughout all of this, is to do all of this quickly. And when applicants can submit electronic plans, we can get going on them much faster. It's fairly standard across building departments in Michigan, and that piece of equipment can cost anywhere between, you know, $3,500 and $10,000.
Okay. 249-371-804-018. What is this for? Legal services. What is that?
So there's some of the legal services, the administrative allocation to other funds, the DPW support services we're just given a figure to put in there. The legal services would have to be if there is any legal action, if somebody challenges a denial of a plan and we have to go to circuit court to resolve that, that's what that would cover.
Okay. And my last thing, and then I'll turn it over to my colleagues. 249-371-818-001 is for professional service of wage term, which is you all. Can you tell me how many people this reflects? How many employees this reflects?
Well, so the mayor's budget, the 1.7 million, is the 14 staff people that we have in there. We put a slightly higher number in there to buffer for potential additional staff that we would need for these larger projects. You know, our number one goal is to be able to accommodate the big projects, the Amazons, the United Shores, the Winston Common projects, without having the regular homeowner or contractor experience any kind of delays. So we put that in a placeholder, but we would not be able to use that without coming back to council with a specific proposal of how many staff we were adding and what their rates were.
I don't know what happened here. Thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have to ask right now.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I do have a couple of questions. Mr. Smith, when is the contract with Wade Trim up? I didn't see it in our book of contracts.
You will recall you approved that through the end of the year with a, and I don't have it right in front of me, so I think it is a 60-day termination notice. The end of the year, the current contract runs through December 31st, 2021.
Okay, thank you for that. My other question is, I think there's an additional $2 million put into this budget. Is all of that the Amazon projects and the other things that's added in the recommended budget?
That's what had come in our departmental request, but the recommended budget that came from the mayor did not have that in there.
So why is that taken out? I'm confused.
Well, I can't tell you why the administration didn't necessarily put all of that in there, but I think the way that I describe that is putting that extra, $258,000 in there was to cover additional staff that might be needed and on a project by project basis. But I think, if I'm to try and read the tea leaves, I would guess that the administration felt that that probably wasn't going to be needed. And if it was, we could come back and ask for a budget amendment when that would come up.
Okay. Does anybody else have questions for Mr. Carrington? I mean, not Mr. Carrington, Mr. Smith. Okay. I don't see any more questions or anybody having their hands up. Let me make sure there's no attendees in the room. Okay, I do see a hand. Okay, Councilwoman Waterman.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. I was taking it to not take it down. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I had took your hand down already.
Oh, okay.
So no, you're fine. Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. We're gonna move on to our next department.
You may want to recess. The clerk isn't here.
Okay, so the clerk is next. That's what we have on the agenda.
Oh, he just walked in. Give him a minute.
Okay, awesome. We're gonna take a 10-minute break and then we'll return with the clerk.
President. Really?
All right, is everybody back? Can you do a roll call, Mr. Doyle? Make sure everybody's here.
So you ready, Mr. President? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I said, can you do a roll call to make sure everybody's returned from break?
Carter. Miller. Petola.
Here.
Shramsky.
Present.
Taylor Burks. Waterman.
Here.
I'm
Williams.
present.
Okay, there's Taylor Burks. Williams.
Present.
Were Carter and Miller present
Miller.
before?
Miller was present before. Carter has not been present.
Present, okay. But then the only member missing is Miller.
Yep.
I'm here, Carter. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I was muted.
Oh, okay. He's here. So everybody's here, Mr. President.
Okay. All right. Mr. Clerk, we're turning it over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. So I had a short presentation. This was in your packet. So this is the clerk's budget, which consists of the city clerk's office, the elections division, and the marijuana regulations division. So these are just some of the accomplishments over the past year that have been in the clerk's office. In addition to us launching the website, the city charter has been updated and includes all the charter amendments that were approved by voters since the charter was instituted in 1982, and that's on the website. The clerk's office was open an additional 85 and a half hours during the 2020 election. So that means an additional, additional 2 weeks. And we stayed open late during the evenings, Monday through Thursday, I believe for the whole month of October. We were open until 8 p.m. We were open a number of weekends, both Saturday and Sunday. We really worked hard to facilitate voters. A number of people came in person and voted inside of the clerk's office, came to City Hall, even in the midst of a pandemic, and managing all of that was an accomplishment. We had the service team where we actually went directly to voters who could not come to City Hall, whether they were seniors, and residents didn't have transportation. We went to shelters, hospitals, senior communities, and we serviced 48 voters that way. We now have 7 drive-up ballot drop boxes. There's one in each one of our voting districts. We will utilize the drop boxes again for this upcoming election. Right now, citizens have probably noticed that they have a gray covering over them, and that's just for protection purposes, so that the drop boxes are not damaged. When we officially are able to begin to mail out absentee ballots, is 40 days prior to the August 3rd primary, just pretty much the end of this month. We now are in, this is June 1st. We'll begin to mail out ballots, and then once we begin to mail out ballots, we will open up all the drop boxes once again as a convenience. We release monthly updates on the medical marijuana application process. We've now issued additional approvals to 3 growers, 1 processor, and we'll release the Cesar Chavez in downtown application. Last year we did a number of mailings. One was an AV postcard, which we plan to do again, which went directly to anybody who got an absentee ballot, and it had like a little checklist, 6 or 7 things that every absentee voter should know. One of the main reasons why votes are not counted is people forget to sign the back of their absentee ballot. So it was to remind you to sign it, and not only to sign it the way you sign your official documents, your driver's license. We're hooked up to the state qualified voter list. And so the way your signature is on your driver's license, when we're matching signatures, that's the system that we look to. So we remind voters of that as well. For the first time, we mailed out a sample ballot. We plan to do that as well, again, too, for both the primary and general election. And then it had the drop boxes location. As you can see, there are extended hours. It was Monday through Friday to 8 o'clock, and then Saturday and Sunday we were open like 9 to 4. During the past election, the way voters turned out dramatically changed. As you can see, for 2020, primarily most of the people voted by, in essence, absentee ballots. So we had a total of, I think it was 22,000 voters. 15,000, over 15,000 of those were absentee ballots. And if you look at 2016, it pretty much was the reverse, where 15,000 people came out to the polls, and then I think it was approximately almost 5,000 that voted by absentee ballot. As a result, we also gave people the option to be on our permanent AV list. So we now have over 9,000 voters that are on our permanent absentee voter list. The difference, though, it requires a lot more manpower with absentee voting as opposed to voting at the polls. Voting at the polls is just like a one-time transaction. You go vote, and that's the end of it. When you vote by absentee, we got to mail you out an application. You got to return the application. We have to mail you out a ballot. If you spoil your absentee ballot, we have to mail you out another absentee ballot. So therefore, it requires, in essence, a lot more work from the staff perspective. One thing that I want to bring to your attention when I review the budget, all department heads were recommended for a 7% raise except for the city clerk. And you see here, I have DPW, city treasurer, planning manager, economic development, cable. And then in addition to that, no current positions in the clerk's office were recommended for a raise. So I want to bring that to your attention. I don't in essence know why, when in particular, the clerk's office, with the exception of the 2 weeks that we had to be closed for when we had a COVID exposure, and then we were still available by phone. Other than that, we've been pretty much open. When City Hall was able to return to work, I think we returned to work in like end of May or June of last year, we've been pretty much consistently open. Even when the building has closed, the clerk's office remains open because, I look at it as an information resource and a public office. So we've remained open to citizens to service, in essence, them, despite the fact that a number of city offices have been working primarily remotely. The clerk's office has, in essence, been here. I wanted to talk about staff professional development. One of the things that I'm focusing on is trying to make sure that everybody is cross-trained. And so therefore, we do have, everybody has an area of expertise, but that if something happens, someone else is able to, in essence, step in. And so these are some of the conferences that I've attended this year, and we'll be attending actually next week's the Clerks Institute. Now, Ms. Grandison, the deputy, she already has her Michigan Professional Municipal Clerk certification. Jonathan Starks will be attending. All staff are now, including Mary Castro and Jolene Williams, are now notaries, so that there's never a time that we don't have notaries in the office. Everybody is a notary as well now too. Ms. Williams is also activating her membership with the Election Center, and she'll be working on her certification. I think it's called Certification of Election Official or something. So with that being said, these were the positions that are in the budget, in the mayor's recommendation, and then what you have below are the proposed changes by the clerk. So all other staff, I think staff raises throughout were anywhere from 3 to 7%. So I am recommending raises for the other staff. And then, like I said, all departments were recommended for a 7% increase. So I'll put that for the clerk. So that's that. Then the part-time positions were not listed in the budget. We will need election assistants and a customer service representative just on a part-time basis. This is our proposed org chart. And in here, I'm now, and this is kind of following the Lansing model, as you notice here, where Lansing used a number of consultants with medical marijuana in the initial phase. And then as they moved from the initial reviews, then they kind of brought everything in essence in-house. So after we get through the reviews of the initial reviews of the provisioning centers, we're underway with the non-overlay in Walton, then the legal advisor and planning advisor work will be done. And as you notice, I'm proposing to have a regulatory analyst who will be a full-time. One thing that happened, because we were really bombarded with the election last year, I don't expect for turnout to be at the 2020 level, but we really are going to push for maximum turnout since this is a municipal, in essence, election. But we also want to make sure that all the medical marijuana work continues to go without any glitch. So I am, the one position would be allocated for that. And then there is a clerk election. We've had an election specialist in the past, and because I did get the grant, we were able to have an election specialist since January. But like, again, I say I'm cross-training everybody. So I'm proposing the title be changed to clerk/election specialist, because half of the time will be spent clerk stuff, half of the time on election stuff. So then that will free up the person who can do the medical marijuana stuff on a full-time basis, so the office can continue to run. Now, what you will notice are some what may look like substantial increases to some budget line items. And the main reason for that, this is why I put this in here we received a $405,000 grant from the Center for Tech and Civic Life. So
Okay,
a number,
Mr. Clerk, Mr. Clerk. Yep, we're gonna, I got quite a few hands up, so I'm gonna
well,
take that.
let me just explain this so it may answer some of the questions, immediate questions. So a lot of the grant expenditures, a lot of the line item expenditures, which would have went to normal line items, went directly to the grant. So if you see, it says grant expenditures next to what it shows activity, and then it shows a total of what we actually spent on those particular items. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Councilwoman Waterman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I guess my major thing to you, Mr. Clerk, right now is the election that's coming up. We have a primary. How many people do you need to make sure that this election goes smoothly? That's how many people you need in the office, how many part-time people who will be working, because I'm receiving some calls now as it relates to the election and making sure that we are staffed properly for this election.
So I have in the budget for 3 part-time, but they will be able to, in essence, work full-time, bringing on 3 additional people to help the people that are in the office. Like, we already have 1 additional full-time person, that's Mary Castro. She was a part-time person before. So I think with the additional people we will bring on, we will have, I believe, more than enough.
So you're saying Mary plus 3?
Yes. Yep. Well, Mary is here already. So plus the 3 additional people will have more than enough to staff that office adequately.
Okay. Let me see here. Where's that going? On page 12 of 67. 101. You ready, Mr. Clerk?
Yep, I'm getting the book that has the
Okay.
the page numbers. You said page 12?
12 of 67.
Okay. Okay, I have it.
Okay. I'd like for you to explain all of that so we have a clear understanding. I know this is probably something that you were talking about, the people that you need, but please explain all the way from 101-255-804-026 on down to your 101-255-818-012.
Okay. So the first item is a substitute counsel in case we have to go outside for any kind of legal services. The second item is the legal advisor. And like I said, once, and that's Mr. Huth, Robert Huth. Once he finishes his work with the provisioning centers, then that will, in essence, go away. So this is just him. I think his initial contract was $85,000. And this is just the remainder of the work that he has left to do. I believe it's $63,000 worth of, in essence, work, because we've been billed for $21,000 worth of work so far. Some of the numbers that are in the budget book are not necessarily accurate. So a professional services, public relations, there was some debate before about how.
What about the hearing officer? I think you missed something here.
I'm a hearing officer.
Professional services.
Oh, I was going down the list. I hadn't.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. So was to, in essence, if we want to do any kind of newsletters or anything like that, that there would be money allocated in the budget. The financial advisor, that's Mr. Taylor, Sherman Taylor, who reviews the applications. Now, he would continue to perform that work after the provisioning centers. We still have some growing applications to do. The hearing officer, that's an ongoing process as well, because it's a 2-step review process. First, you go to the hearing officer, and then if you want to subsequently appeal, you would go to the medical marijuana commission. The planning advisor, again, that's like Mr. Huth. The planning advisor and the legal advisor do like a compliance check to make sure all the scores were in sense consistent with their review. So both of those roles, the legal advisor and the hearing officer, will end after the provisioning center initial review process, in essence, is over. The next item was other professional services. This relates like the commission may need, in essence, some support of a stenographer or something like that. So some money was put in the budget for that. The security consultant, that will be in essence ongoing. Travel expenses, that's just more so to deal with, in essence, like professional development. Talked about printing, ordinances. In case there was any kind of ordinance change, I think it's just like $100 or something. Public notices. Again, the commission, meetings of the commission will have to be noticed, in essence, to the public. I think that covers.
Okay, one more and then I'll be done. Okay, on page 11 of 67, on that,
Okay.
what, you got it?
Yes.
101-255-70200. What, under the marijuana, who is that? What is that? Salary and wages, who is that?
So that's the one position that's going to be allocated to medical marijuana.
Okay,
So that's the regulatory analyst that is in the budget.
okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk, and thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman. We got Councilwoman Sharamsky next.
I think she had some of the same questions. I was looking at, let's see, public notices, 101, 191, 902, 005.
So you're talking about the elections budget, okay?
Yeah, is that what it is? Yeah.
191 is elections, 215 is city clerk, and then 255 is marijuana regulation.
Okay. Well, I see a big discrepancy between what you're asking, what the mayor is recommending, and public notices there.
And that's the reason why Councilwoman Shramsky, that I put together, where I still have it on the screen. I'll go back.
Yeah, I have that in front of me too.
The grant. So see, because the grant was one line item, which is 101, 191, 818-013. It shows $249,000 that has been expended. But of that, a lot of those items would have been spent directly on other line items. For example, public notices. A number of public notices were spent directly out of the grant. So if you see where I show public notices, $6,382 was spent directly out of the grant. We won't have the grant for the new fiscal year. So in reality, the finance is showing as of April 30th that we've only spent $3,400 for public notices. That's incorrect. We actually spent $9,000, so almost $10,000 for public notices. And that's in essence what I requested for the budget, in essence, going forward. So that's why I put in to give a better, accurate explanation of why some of these totals were different as to how much was actually spent using grant funds.
Okay, so what was the account number that was the grant that you were saying was something 818-013?
101, 191, 818-013.
Okay. And let's see, what is this second one? I think it's poll workers' meals.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big discrepancy there.
So this past election, we used
The
There
grant?
was an outcry from election workers to, in essence, be fed. And we did use grant funds to feed the poll workers. I believe they were fed, I think it was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So if we want to continue with that, we need to allocate some funds for that as well. So I think just for the, because we only did it for the general election, we spent, I believe it was $3,500 directly from the grant on meals for the general election.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next is Councilwoman Peeler.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Clerk, your pass outs that you sent to us to print out, there's 3 sheets there. I would ask that you resend those in an 8x11 or an 8x14 because the 8x11 is not a big enough sheet of paper to copy them all. We're lacking some of that information. So if you could have those copied on 8x14 and send them up to the offices for our mailbox, that would be much appreciated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the next hand is Mayor Waterman.
I had just a couple questions, but one of the things was just to affirm what I thought I heard you say was that the applications for the provisioning centers in the downtown would be released soon. Did I hear you say that?
Madam Mayor, they were already released.
I know you released the rankings, but the applications themselves. That's what I thought I heard you say.
No, and we cannot release applications.
Okay.
The applications are not foyable. If I said that, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It was the rankings.
Yeah, I thought you said that, so that's why I wanted to do that.
Okay.
But the rankings, we got the rankings, and now that you're getting through this medical marijuana process and you're getting to the great bulk of the applications, of course, have come over the last 2 years, so that we will be at our limit for the provisioning centers once you get through this process. So actually, I think you would be winding down staff rather than building up additional staff persons. I'm just trying to understand that premise where you're actually building more staff. Some of the things that you were talking about this staff doing are actually administrative, which wouldn't be assigned to the clerk's office. Once you issue the license, the things about checking for their
Okay, I don't want to waste. This is our only budget hearing with the clerk.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste it on medical marijuana.
No, I'm just
information that you guys
budget.
can.
I'm just questioning the budget figures.
Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
That was my question.
Let me finish really quickly.
Okay.
If you guys want to later have a meeting about how medical marijuana will be administered through the city, I know countless of your staff has worked on the process before, and you guys will continue to work with the clerk's office on getting it through the finish line. What I'm trying to do now is really just look at the numbers and not how these functions are working. Clearly, you made a budget that you thought was feasible. The clerk is asking for recommendations that he thought was feasible, and then the council has to really decide what that looks like. And so I really want to make sure that the council gets this opportunity not to get into the weeds with what is happening with medical marijuana, because really that's not my interest point. My interest point is the election, and also making sure that the clerk's office is adequately staffed going forward. So I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to answer those questions.
Well, Mr. President, somebody asked why his budget was different from my recommended. I'm just explaining what my question was as I looked at, because there was a difference in what we thought was going to be the responsibilities of the clerk's office.
Okay. What I'm saying to you is, between now and the time we actually pass the budget, you guys will have a conversation or a group of conversations about that. What I'm saying is we've allocated this time for the council to hear from the clerk on where his budget is, and you've got the same document. So if you've got questions, if you can put them in writing so we can all follow along, because I don't know how medical marijuana works at all. So that's where I'm at. Does any other council people have questions?
Yes, Mr. President. One more thing, please, sir.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
I have my trainer. Oh, Mr. Clerk, you stated that you did some amendments and updates on the charter. Can we please have copies of that, sir? Can you make copies and have those placed in our boxes, I would love to have that.
Okay, so I'll put in the charter. Okay. Charters and then the packet, I think the last. Okay, I'll put both of those in here.
All right, and one thing, and then I am done under your budget too. And I know you've done some, but I just want to get some clarity as what's going on in our book on page 9 of 67, where it says City Clerk Personnel Services, 101-215-702-000. Can you tell me who does
I'm
this
sorry,
reflect? I'm sorry, Mr. Clerk. 9 of 67
Mm-hmm.
is the 101-215-702-000.
Okay, so that reflects myself.
Okay.
The deputy clerk, Sheila Grandison.
Okay.
And the position of clerk / election specialist, half of that position. 100% myself, 100% Ms. Grandison, and half of that other position.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, my question, Mr. Doyle, is out of this 405,000 that you got in the grant, how much of that is going to all be expended, and how much are you carrying over?
So all of the grant funds have to be expended by June 30th, or they will have to be returned to the Center for Tech and Civic Life. We will spend all of the funds, because what we can do is whatever we haven't, there are a couple additional things that I plan on spending the money for. Like, for example, additional lighting will be installed at Kennedy School, because it doesn't so much affect the primary, but during the general election, it's totally, you enter the polling location back by the gym, and it's totally dark back there. So they'll be installing, in essence, another light. But any unused funds, what we will do is the salary for Ms. Williams, who has served as the election administrator, can be charged to the grant. So we will spend all of the $405,000. It makes no sense to return any money to the Center for Tech and Civic Life. So as you will see, that was one of my reasons for putting the grant expenditures. For the most part, we really won't have spent any city funds for minimal city funds for elections for this fiscal year. So that was the reason why I put together this spreadsheet, because most of the things got charged to the grant that would have normally got charged to Department 191.
Okay, my last question is, if you can go to, and it's on your sheet, Mr. Clerk, which is training expenses 101-191-957-002. I don't know if I can follow all the pages, but how much do you have in the budget for professional development? What I noticed last election is everybody who was working on the election was their first election, with the exception of Ms. Granderson, their first presidential election in Pontiac. And so I want to make sure that we're putting enough money aside in the budget to make sure that all the training is available, not only to you, but the rest of the staff.
So the training expense is for staff professional development.
No, what I'm saying is that looks a little low to get everybody who needs to be up to snuff is what I'm saying to you, Mr. Clerk. So I understand that it's under 2,500 is what I'm looking at for the total staff.
So I'll further look into that, but I thought that the 2,500 was adequate, but I'll take another look at it.
Okay, does anybody else have questions that doesn't have a hand up?
But
Okay.
what I will say about, since you mentioned training, I'm sorry. And this is more so training of co-workers and stuff like that. Ms. Williams, who came on, I believe it was 1 year ago of this month, she primarily did all of our training of our co-workers and the people who worked at the polls. And then we had 2 additional trainers from the outside that we brought in. But Ms. Williams will be training Ms. Castro. So Ms. Mary, she will be doing some of the training of poll workers and stuff as well this time. She had previously, before working for the city, she was a long time chairperson at Kennedy School and has done an excellent job at Kennedy School in the past. So she will be doing training. I'm trying to make, have spent in the past a lot of money on outside entities, and I'm trying to develop the professional development of the staff so where we can bring a lot of those things in-house and don't necessarily have to rely so much on outside.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have questions for the clerk? Okay, we're gonna adjourn this meeting at 3.
So actually, wait. You're just recessing until 5 p.m. And then at that time, you would have the public hearing on the budget.
Okay,
This is the same link. The same link that you're on now would be the same link that you would rejoin at 5 p.m. for the public hearing on the budget.
okay, so so you're gonna leave this meeting open, Mr. Clerk?
Yep.
Okay,
So just just recess until 5 o'clock.
okay, we're gonna recess until 5 o'clock.
Oh, thank you, Mary.
I'm sorry. May I give you like an email address to scan the?
call has been forwarded to the voicemail for Darlin Doyle. No one is available to take your call. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press the pound key for more options.
Hi, Garland. This is Ken. I'll just send you an email. Well, come on.
Okay, Mr. Doyle, it's 5 o'clock. We're going to resume this meeting with the purpose of having a public hearing on the budget. Can you do a roll call?
Miller, Petula.
I'm here, Garland.
Okay. Petula. Shramsky,
Present.
Taylor Burks, Waterman,
Here, sir.
Williams,
Present.
Carter. Mr. President, you have a form.
Okay. I don't know why I can't.
There's Petula. Petula, you're muted, Councilwoman Petula.
I'm here.
Taking roll call. Okay. Taylor Burks. Okay. Okay. Present. You're muted, Council President.
If you can make me a co-host so I can let Mr. Carrington in.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay. Mr. Carrington is now a panelist. So, all right. If you can read the agenda item, Mr. Clerk, so we can open up the public hearing.
This is the public hearing on the proposed 2021-2022 annual budget and city tax rate.
Okay. We're going to open up the public hearing at 5:02 p.m. Is there anybody that would like to speak for the public hearing? Okay, we are going to close the public hearing at 5:04. Councilwoman Petula has her hand up.
I do. Mr. President, we're having a public hearing, but we haven't gone through the entire budget yet. Will we be having another public hearing?
That's a question for the clerk. Go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. No, only one public hearing is required on the budget. So this public hearing that you just had is sufficient.
It's sufficient in your eyes, sir, but not sufficient in some of the eyes of the viewers because we have constituents that have questions about items that we have not yet discussed. So, I mean, that's not sufficient for the citizens of the city. It's sufficient for you. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Okay. All right. What's next on the agenda, Mr. Clerk?
Public comment.
Okay. Is there any public comment? Okay, I don't see any. We're going to close public comment at 5:05. Mr. Doyle, what's next on the agenda?
That will be it. You can adjourn the meeting because there's a separate link for your regular study session at
Okay.
PM. You need to adjourn
Okay,
the
we're
meeting.
going to adjourn this meeting at 5:05 p.m.